Welcome to Cook's Books, I'm Lauren and this is a batch review of 3 Penguin Little Black classics. Last year, the year before, to celebrate their 80th birthday, Penguin released 80 Little Black classics for 80p a piece. I've recently read 3 of these, numbers 23, 24 and 53, which respectively are Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox, Christina Rossetti's The Cobbler Market, and Rudyard Kipling's The Gate of 100 Sorrows. The size and format of these books generally is lovely, it's very easy to read and transport. They don't get damaged, but the covers do tend to get a little bit scuffed. And they each contain a little quote on the first page from the title story, which I will insert into this video. Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox. There sat the dog with eyes as big as mill wheels. This collection of short stories included The Tinderbox, Little Klaus and Big Klaus, The Princess and the Pea, The Steadfast Tin Soldier, The Nightingale and Red Shoes. Similarly to Grimm's fairy tales, I don't think they should ever be told to children. But having said that, they're nowhere near as gory as the Grimm tales. The problem is more of a moral one, because the characters who abuse and exploit others are the characters who get what they want and get ahead, especially so in the title story. The translation was by Tina Denali and it was really lyrical and dreamlike language. It was absolutely beautifully done. To be honest, my favourite story out of this entire collection wouldn't have been The Tinderbox. It would be The Nightingale, which is a very bittersweet commentary on people trapping the things they love and learning to let them go again, purely because it's the right thing to do. I think I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Next up, I read Christina Rossetti's The Cobbler Market. She kissed and kissed her with a hungry mouth. This little black classic is easily my favourite of the 3 I'm reviewing today. I didn't take lit as an A-level like most of my friends did, and they all had to read The Cobbler Market for their A-level, and they were raving about it and they loved it. And I was always kind of curious, but I didn't read poetry in my free time, so I never really got round to it, and now I'm starting to understand why they loved it so much. As well as The Cobbler Market, this selection of poems included Dreamland, Song, An End, A Pause for Thought, Sweet Death, A Birthday, Babylon the Great, On Keats, In an Artist's Studio, The Queen of Hearts, A Christmas Carol, An Old World Thicket, Spring Quiet, Uphill, Song, A Dirge, A Frog's Fate, My Dream, and Nursery Rhymes from Sing Song. I thought this collection contained some really lovely meditations on womanhood, what it meant to be a woman, what it meant to be a woman in relation to other women, and also how men interact with women. And in this sense, it's interesting to compare Rossetti's views of her time in a woman's place with my own views of a woman's place in 2016. I really loved her focus on female love and relationships and sisterhood, and for the pure inability of men to understand us. But yet again, the title poem was not my favourite of this collection. In joint first place for my affection are the 2 poems both called A Song. I want one read at my wedding and one read at my funeral, because one is the happiest thing and one is the saddest, most bittersweet poem I have ever read. I never really get that lost in poetry to start with, so Rossetti is a really strong contender for my favourite poet. And I mean, God, if a poem makes you cry on the bus, then it's got some kind of relevance to your life. I also really enjoyed the poem Queen of Hearts. It deserves an honourable mention just for being as beguiling as it was. I've not long been finished this little book, and I left it at home on purpose because I knew if I brought it back I'd be rereading it constantly. If I didn't give Christina Rossetti 5 stars on Goodreads, I was feeling very cruel that day, and I probably should have. And finally, I want to talk about The Gate of 100 Sorrows by Rudyard Kipling. Mind you, it was a pucka, respectable opium house, and not one of those stifling, sweltering chandukhanas that you find all over the city. The contents of the short story collection were Thrown Away, False Dawn, In the House of Sudhor, The Bazaar of Puri, The Gate of 100 Sorrows, and The Story of Muhammad Din. I hate Rudyard Kipling. That's not a fair assumption to make. I haven't read any of his longer pieces or his poetry. I really should read Kim, at least. But I didn't like this at all. I gave it a star on Goodreads because you can't give something no stars. His voice just has such an arrogant superiority to it, and I know he was in the British Army during colonial India and it was a different time, but when you were that racist, it just gives an insight into a man who knows he has inferiors, and that is a mindset I cannot align myself with, and it's not a mindset I particularly want to read. I don't care what excuses you can come up with, it's indicative of a racist, and I cannot read that. As such, it was an incredibly difficult read, and that's why it got the star rating it did. It just gave me so much white guilt that someone who said they were doing something for my country could ever treat someone that way. Reason 1, I am not patriotic. England did awful things. England does awful things. I mean, we elected this dickhead twice. I also got a real sense of his superiority to his audience. This could have been a really fantastic way for Kipling to spread the wonders of the new world that Britain had found in India, because it is a culture so vastly different to our own. There are wealths of things we don't understand there. And instead of being a homuncular father figure, he just kind of rubbed all this wealth in our faces. He was very aware of his rank and his station, and he used it to look down on the reader. It used terminology that I, as a linguistics student, just could not even comprehend into syntax, let alone understand the actual semantic content of. There were 3 lonely positives of this short story collection. 1, the story False Dawn, while incredibly misogynistic and entitled, had a plot. The others did not. Congratulations, False Dawn. 2, in the story The Bazaar of Paris, there was a quote I loved so much that it actually went in my quote book despite my new hatred of Rudyard Kipling, and it was, "Love unsought is a terrible gift." The 3rd and final positive of this short story collection was that it was very short and I did not have to endure it any longer. I think I need to calm down after thinking about Rudyard Kipling so much, so that's all for now. I'll see you with another video soon. Bye!